Broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the TowerCoverage.com webinar. My name is Steven Zeiss. I'll be doing the webinar for you this morning. We're going to cover how to use TowerCoverage.com, how to set up your account, and just kind of go over all the features that are available with Tower Coverage. First, with what is Tower Coverage? It's an RF propagation website that allows you to create heat maps for your RF coverages or for your fiber maps as well. So this allows you to create a area that integrates into your website and user submissions, or your potential customers can fill out a form, submits it to Tower Coverage, allows you to find out what the best possible way to get those customers hooked up, to track your data, and many other things. So it's a very powerful tool. So we're going to show you how to use it today. The first thing you want to do is, if you have not already created an account, it's very easy. Just go to TowerCoverage.com, go to the getting started, and register for an account. You can sign up for a 2-day trial or a 14-day trial. If you sign up for the 2-day trial, it's completely free trial. All you do is sign up and register. At the end of 2 days, the account goes to a free status, and no harm, no foul. Or you can sign up and go with a monthly account. And there's no contract, no anything. So use it as much as you want, and you can just continue on and run your business with Tower Coverage. Once you have your account set up, what you're going to want to do is go to your dashboard. And from your dashboard, you'll want to make sure that everything in your account is set up first. Keep in mind that when you register for an account, everything that you register with is going to go into your company profile. But it's very key to make sure that this data is up to date, especially if you're going to use a public map. Whenever you create a public map on Tower Coverage, it allows you to display your coverage area on TowerCoverage.com public map and on the home page. This will allow you, the pin will take your company profile, and that will be displayed to customers that are looking for internet service. So if somebody happens to find TowerCoverage.com but they don't know that your WISP exists, it will show up on Tower Coverage's public map, and that company profile information will give them the ability to contact you even though they didn't know you were there already. Also, the public map allows the end users to use the Find a Provider. If they fill out the Find a Provider form on our homepage, if they are within 50 miles of your coverage area, we're going to send you their information. So it's very, very key to keep this up to date. Also, in your company profile, if we are able to geocode the address that you have put in here, it'll make it really easy to set up your sites and set up your links, because the map will start out at the location of your business. So it makes it to where you don't have to search and find locations when creating sites when you're building your account. Next thing you're going to want to do is make sure that you have the users in here that you want to have access to your account. There's 3 different types of users. There's an admin, there's an input, and there's a read-only. The first account created will be the master account. So that account can edit the other 2 admins. You can have up to 3 admins, but you want to make sure that you want them to have that kind of power. They can modify every aspect of your account with the exception of an admin user account. So all of your payment stuff, your view your invoices, your API stuff, everything they can do, anything you can do, with the exception they can't edit your user account. So make sure that you trust the people that you make admins. Otherwise, you can make them an input user, or you can make them a read-only user. You can also set the start page for all of your users. This allows you to create a login such as your sales team, sales@TowerCoverage.com, and set them to where when they open up Tower Coverage, it automatically sends them to the MultiMap, your EUS Data collection map, so that way whenever a customer calls in, they're automatically at the map that they need to be on. So that way they can pre-qualify them with a either by inputting an end user submission or using the path analysis feature of the multi-coverage. Once you have all of your users set up, you can go in and upload a logo. This does have to be a JPEG or a PNG. It has to be smaller than 2 meg. So if you want to upload a logo in here, that way whenever you create your point-to-point links, there's an option to print links. If you have a logo uploaded, your logo will be attached to the top of those links for printing purposes. The EUS settings. you're going to want to make sure that the EUS settings are what you want them to be. Over here on the right, this we'll cover a little bit more later on, but the EUS iframe text. So if you wanted to display the iframe and you want it to be in a different language, that'll you can sit here and change the language of the EUS iframe form so it displays in whatever language you wish it to be. You cannot modify what is required or not required or any of those type of portions of the iframe. There is an API version that we will cover as well, but this is where you modify the text. This also is where you set how you want the iframe to behave. For example, you have 3 different options: display coverage map zoomed in on the client, and a thanks message. You can do just the thanks message, or you can redirect to a thanks URL. This allows you to kind of modify how the iframe responds to your end users as they're filling out the form, and as they're going through the steps of filling out the iframe form for your end user data. The movable pin text, after the customer fills out their address location, it's going to try to geolocate their address. Addresses are not always very accurate when it comes to where the house actually is, so we display a map and we show a pin. They can move that pin to the exact location of their house, so that way you have a more accurate latitude and longitude. The next portion down here is the EUS email. The EUS email allows you to add up to 5 email addresses so that way whenever the form is filled out, the email that we send, the 6 best possible links it goes to, is up to 5 email addresses. It can even be a distribution group if you want. Your Google Analytics down here, this makes it to where your analytics just tracks the use of your EUS form. In the API section of your account settings, this is where you're going to see your EUS API results. I don't know why my form is messing up here. Give me one sec. Get that fixed. Well, maybe. Apologize for that. There it goes. There we go. Sorry about that. So here's where you're going to set up your EUS billing API system. So this is if you have a CRM that you want your customer data to push to. So whenever the form is filled out and we receive that data, we analyze the 6 best possible links, and then we also, if you have this information in the EUS billing API filled out, we will also push that to your billing system. There are many different billing systems that Tower Coverage already has integration for, or they have integration for us. Azotel, Visp, BillMax, Sonar, Aerodile. You can put other ones in there, even if we don't know about them. They could have integration. That's totally up to them. By all means, ask them if they need any information on how to create that integration. It is on the wiki as well. Example of how we push the data. It's simply an XML data push to your billing system. There is also the EUS API template generator here. This template generator it functions exactly as the iframe does. Not all web development platforms will directly accept the code that is in here, but you can, if you have your web designer or web developer, they can tweak it a little bit if it doesn't go directly in. But most of them, it is literally just a copy the code and paste it in, and then you can tweak and modify the form as long as you don't modify the type of inputs that are being pushed to the API. You will need a Google Map key if you want to use this form. The form will not work without a Google Map key. So basically what it is, the iframe code, it uses our Google Map key to geolocate addresses, but because it's on our server, it can use ours. If you take this code, it does have to have your own key because now the code is on your server. But it's very simple, free to use. Google API is free you can get an API key that has 2,500 calls per day. Each time this form is filled out, it uses 1 API call off your Tower Coverage account. So it's very simple to use, very easy. You get your key, you paste it in there, and then you just hit the show code and you copy this code and paste it in your website, and you can modify it however you wish. Once you have your API stuff set up, you're going to want to make sure that you adjust your LAN cover accordingly for your area. You can add new LAN cover types. So if you have a network that is spread from one side of the country to the other side of the country, this allows you to create different LAN cover types. So if you have one area of your network that has redwood trees and another that doesn't, then you can compensate for those different tree types accordingly. Basically, all you do is you just hit add new, give it a name, and then it'll show up in our LAN cover list down here, and you select which one that you're wanting to modify. And as you can see, the values have changed because this one here, in our example, we have it all set to 5,000 density. The density is a 0 to 10,000 value, so 5,000 would be 50% density. But you want to make sure that all this stuff is accurate for your area. We do have some base values in here. Like by default, we have them a little bit low for some areas, but they're spot on for other areas in the United States. It just all depends on the area that you're in. The next spot is the overlay management. If you would like to add an overlay, there is a Google Map restriction. It does have to be a KML or a KMZ. There cannot be any spaces or special characters in the name, and it must be less than 3 meg in size. Whenever you're adding the overlay, you want to keep in mind that if you take it directly out of Google Earth and you put it into Tower Coverage, we are doing a browser version of Google Maps. It's not Google Earth. There are a lot of features in Google Earth, spinning icons and stuff like that. That stuff will not work. All of those features won't work in Tower Coverage. It will still upload the overlay will still function, but if you have stuff like I said, like spinning icons and whatnot, those won't show up. So you want to make sure it's as simple as possible. Plus, you get more information with the less little the pretty features that can be in a KML or KMZ. If you remove all that stuff, you can get more data into your overlay without having to break it up into multiple overlays. And then we have the antenna pattern section here. This is very simple to use. We have a lot of antenna patterns. Our list was getting really big, so we added in the ability for you to add your own antenna patterns into your Tower Coverage account. Keep in mind they do have to be a radio mobile compatible .ant file. So basically what that means is there's no headers, no labels, no anything. It is literally gain readings for azimuth and elevation. So there's going to be 720 rows of data. It's going to be one column of data, and it's just going to be a like neg 20 or something like that. Just a bunch of different values lined up down one column in a single column, 720 rows. So that's what you need to be able to upload it. You give it a name, you assign your beam width filter, you set the manufacturer name, you choose your file, you hit update, and then it will show up when creating coverages. You'll be able to utilize that antenna that you added into your account. Once you have your account all set up, the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add all of your tower locations. It's very simple to do. There's many different ways. As you can see, it utilized the company profile and started right here at Link Technologies. It started my map pin right there. You just simply give it a name. If you want to move the pin around, it'll automatically update the latitude and longitude over here on the right. You can also do a search for an address up here at the very top by hitting search. That will also update the latitude and longitude. You can use DMS latitude and longitude as well. So you do want to keep in mind that the latitude and longitude fields do have to be positive or negative accordingly. So as you can see here in the northwestern hemisphere of the world, we are a positive value for latitude and a negative value for longitude. It goes with the same for the degrees field of the DMS lat long. Your description field and your group field are simply ways to identify what the purpose of this tower is for. So that way you can sit there and put a URL in the description, and whenever you show pins on your map, it'll be a hyperlink for your sales team if you want that tower pin to be associated with your website or something like that. None of this stuff will ever display to your customers, as well as the pins of your tower locations with the website integration. If you decide to show the map, use the iframe to display a map on your website. None of the pins will show to your customers as well, so you don't have to worry about any of that. This is strictly for tracking things for your internal uses. But once you create your tower sites, the next thing you can do, you can either create a radio system, which is very simple as well. You do not have to if you don't want to. Basically, what this does is allows you to have essentially a cookie cutter to be able to take a common system that you use across your network and easily apply it all over the place. So what you can do is all of these values. We'll go ahead and cover these in the coverage because there are more values in the coverage than there is just in the radio system. Once you have your tower sites, you can go in here and you simply just select your tower site. The height that we set on the tower site, it will automatically pre-fill, and that makes it to where if your antennas are all at the top of your towers, that's great. You can just leave it the way it is, or you can modify it so the height of your site locations doesn't actually apply anywhere unless you don't change them whenever you're creating your coverages. Your RX threshold, this allows you to specify what the minimum signal requirement for an install is. Your required reliability percentage, this is for you to add or subtract statistical loss to a coverage. So if there's a lot of noise, if the radio's weak, whatever the situation may be, it's a way to compensate or essentially have a fudge factor slider to if the coverage is showing a little too strong, you turn up the required reliability, it'll weaken it down just a little bit, or vice versa. Use land cover. In most WISP situations, you're going to want to leave this on because if you set this to no, it's going to ignore all clutter data, so you're not going to get accurate propagation for your RF coverages. Use 2-rays allows to take into consideration multipath reflection and things like that. So if you're using like an LTE situation where or something like that type of stuff, you're going to want to turn it on so that way those calculations are made as well. Your create view shed essentially does the opposite of turning off the land cover. It takes your land cover setting height, ignores the density and sets all the densities to maximum, so 10,000. So it makes it where every piece of clutter data on your map is virtually impenetrable by RF. The LTE coverage portion, this does not affect the propagation of the map at all. What this does is takes the LTE coverage and the channel width, and it allows, if you have this set to an LTE coverage, it will use the channel width, so that way whenever you do a path analysis on a coverage, it doesn't affect a multi-coverage, it's only on a single coverage at this time, but whenever you do a path analysis, it's going to let you know what the RSRP signal is. RSRP, we display most coverages in RSSI by default, and at this time the multi-path path analysis on the multi coverage, it will still all show in RSSI. We haven't got that far yet, but the single coverage, you can go in and see what the RSRP would be to that customer as well if you turn on the LTE coverage option. Your average client antenna height, we do suggest that you use whatever the average home height or install height would be for that area. So if off this sector, all the houses around are, all one-story ranch, no two-story, no two-story houses at all. You're going to want to set that to like, 4 meters at the most. If it's in an area where it's a big subdivision, 2-3-story houses, you're going to want to make sure that you set it accordingly to the area that the coverage is going to be in. Your RX loss and your TX loss, these values, if you are not using any LMR or anything like that, 0.51 is sufficient to compensate for just your little pigtails and stuff and that stuff. But if you are using LMR, you're going to want to look at the specification of the cable that you're using, whatever the situation may be. They all have their sheets all have a loss per foot. You want to figure out how many feet you're using, calculate that loss and put it in here so that way you're getting accurate signal readings for your tower coverage count. Your coverage name, it does have to be unique. You cannot use the same name over and over again. But this name, if you do use the coverage array setting, it's going to use this name over and over again, but it's going to tack on the azimuth reading of the coverage. We'll cover that here in just a sec. If you created a radio system, it will show up here in the radio system list. We have a couple defaults in there just so you have a couple to choose from. But as I said before, you can create new radio systems, as many as you want. Put them in there, and they will be in this list. So as you can see, when I select the different radio systems, the values throughout the page change. Excuse me. As I said before, we have a lot of different antennas that are already in tower coverage. We have some just generic ones that you can utilize, or if you want to upload your own, those are in the account setting as well to be able to upload those antennas. You're going to want to put the gain of your antenna in dBi, your antenna azimuth, and your tilt. If it's this is for mechanical. If you're using an antenna pattern, you want to make sure that this is only the mechanical tilt. The pattern already has the electrical tilt calculated. If you have up tilt, it's a positive number. If it's down tilt, it is a negative value. So if it's 1 degree down, it'd be a -1. The EUS beam width filter, this setting here also does not affect the propagation of your map. What this does is makes it to where EUS submissions and path analysis do not allow a test link to happen outside whatever this setting is set to. So if you have a sector that is pointing at 0 degrees and it is the beam width filter is set to 90 degrees, anything plus or minus 45 degrees from the center line of that coverage, a link path analysis or an EUS submission will not happen outside of it. It will tell you link not possible, or this location is outside the distance or the beam width filter of all coverages. So basically what that does is prevents if you have a tower with like 4 90-degree sectors on it and there's a customer that is really close to it, they submit an EUS submission on your website. When you get those 6 best possible links, it isn't going to try and test to the back face of one of those sectors. That allows the 6 best possible results to be a tower that's further away but still has good signal. Because if we return all 4 of the sectors from that one tower, you may not. Now you don't know about a tower that's maybe a mile away that they could get a good signal to as well, and possibly get better speeds to them. So that's what that setting is for. So on a 90-degree sector, your EUS beam width filter, if you want to utilize the side lobes, most people do, some people don't. You want to just add a little bit to it. You can set this to 110. That adds 10 degrees to either side, so that way you can if they're just a little bit outside the beam width filter, you're still going to get those link results if the signal is good. You're going to want to set your frequency. There's a lot of different frequencies in here. There's pretty much most of the frequencies that are available for RF, except for the FM band. Everything else is pretty much in there. If you don't see it in there, let us know. It's not that big of a deal for us to add them. Shoot us an email, and we can get those added in. The exact center frequency, this is so that way you can use our frequency coordination feature. The frequency coordination feature on the MultiMap, it'll display the different channels in a slightly different color, so that way if 2 of the same color overlap, you can see that you're interfering with yourself. You're going to want to set your TX power. That is in dBm, so you'll need to calculate that out if you don't have it already. The TX line loss we already covered. Rendering quality, when you're creating coverages, just trying to get set up, it is a good idea to do them on low first, so that way it processes faster, and then once you get everything honed in, then you can turn it up to very high. They take minute and a half, 2 minutes on very high resolution. They take about 10 to 15 seconds on low resolution. So if you want to hurry up and get it set up, you start them on low. Once they look close, then you go back in, turn them up on high, and then then go get your lunch while they process. That type deal. Your strong signal margin, what this does is it uses the RX threshold that's over here, and excuse me, and this RX threshold determines where the 2 colors separate, your strong signal color and your weak signal color. As you can see, it's at -78, so we have these values that show which signal ranges will be what colors, and as you slide the slider, you can see that they change as well. So that way you know which what signal areas are going to be what colors. Opacity, this is exactly what it says. It's how opaque your coverage is, how light or dark. If you turn this all the way up to 100%, you're not going to be able to see the trees, the houses, stuff like that through the colored coverage area. If you turn it way down, it's going to be, if you turn it down to 0, you're not even going to be able to see it, but you'll still be able to do link path analysis. So we have it by default set to 50%. Your maximum range slider. This here, we do suggest that you leave it up a little bit higher. If you turn it down, it lowers the resolution of the terrain data. If you turn it down too far, and a coverage will not propagate outside of 30 kilometers. So even if you set this up to 70 kilometers, it'll allow a link path to happen out to 70 kilometers, but the coverage itself will stop at the 30 kilometer range. So I mean, even if you crank the power and everything all the way up, you're just going to have a 30 kilometer circle. So it's going to have the radius of 30 kilometers is going to be a big, huge circle. And then the final area of the coverage setting is the coverage array setting. So what this does, it asks you, do you want it evenly spaced? So basically what that means, if you have 4 65-degree sectors and the setting over here in the azimuth is set to 0, it's going to create the first one at 0 degrees, and then it's going to create the second one at 90, and the third one at 180, and the fourth one at 270. It's going to evenly space them around a 360-degree circle. So if you selected a 365, 65-degree sectors, you tell it to be evenly spaced. The advertised beam width is 65, but we don't want 5 sectors. We're only doing 4 because we're going to evenly space them around. That's what you would do. It will automatically try to determine how many sectors it would take to make a 360-degree circle, but you can change it to however many you wish to change that to. That way, once you click create, it's going to take the coverage name and it's going to take your azimuth and it's going to do exactly what you want it to do over here. If you turn this evenly spaced checkbox off, it's going to put the first one at the 0 degree mark, and it'll take whatever the advertised beam width of the sector is. It'll divide that by 2 and add it on there and just keep going around until it runs out of however many you told it to do. So basically what you could do is create a coverage array that covers from north all the way to the east, all the way around to the south. It's always going to start at north and go east and then south, and so on and so forth. So it's an option that allows you either put them lined up together so they overlap, or you can make it to where they're just evenly spaced around a circle. Totally up to you. Once you click your create, we already got some examples in here of what happens when you do it, so that way we don't have to wait for stuff to process. So what it did is it took the first one, it put it at 0, 90, 180, and 270. And as you can see, we've got our one that's pointing at 0 degrees. It has this, the 0 degree one is up pointing due north. All of the settings that we used are lined up in here. So you can essentially create all of your coverages at one time for a single tower, and you can just go tower by tower and do that. So that way you created 4 at once. So also in here, you can see that our RSRP value, our RSRP threshold is in here according with the channel width that we used and the fact that it's an LTE coverage. In a single coverage, there's a couple options in here. You can view your ASR towers from inside your coverage area. You can view your EUS data. There's the ASR tower there. We currently don't have any EUS data. We haven't got that far yet. We'll show that to you when we get to the multi-coverage. Or you can do a path analysis by simply dropping a pin and clicking your path analysis. You get a couple different options when you do a path analysis from a single coverage. The single coverage, as I said before, will give you RSRP if it is a LTE coverage, or RSSI if it is not. You have the choice of saving this link path analysis. It can either, if you save this, it's going to take whatever you have the site name as and wherever that green pin was, and it's going to create a site in your account for that location. And then it's going to utilize the coverage the settings of the coverage and the coverage pin location for the other side of the link and create a link for you. If you don't want to save it and you're just wanting to see what the signal quality is, you can just leave those completely blank. It will by default use the setting from your receiving station setting of the coverage, and it's going to put that in there. If you're wanting to test potential higher, or the customer called and said, well, I have a 40-foot tower in my backyard, you can put that in there. You can come in here and put it to 40, which it'll automatically convert that to meters as well. And you just hit don't save, and it'll perform a link path analysis for you. So as you can see, because it's an LTE coverage, it calculated what the RSRP signal to that location would be. It used the 12 meters that we set it to, and it tells us that it's a good link in accordance with the RX threshold that we had set for the coverage. If this happened to be down in a valley where we tested, it would continue to try to calculate it, and it would give you a suggested height. So that way you can tell the customer, no, I can't get you right now, but if you could get, 3 meters higher up, then we could possibly get you service. Just one of those little tools that helps you out for testing whenever you're on the phone with your potential customers. It also gives you the alignment to the client. So that way you know what direction to be pointing that antenna whenever you get out to their house. Once you have all of your RF coverages in, you can also add your fiber maps into your account. It's very, very simple. You can come in here and you can just start clicking where your fiber runs. You can add up to 25 pins per coverage. Or you can extend it out to 70 kilometers. So as long as you're less than 70 kilometers, less than 25 pins, you can just keep going with that same one. If you run out of pins or you run out of distance, you just simply create another coverage and start where you left off. You give her a name. The distance allowed, what that's going to do is it's going to use that distance, and it's going to create a polygon around the outside of this line. So 30 kilometers on either side of the line, it's going to create a polygon for you. Then you can add these into your EUS data collection map. So that way, if a customer requests service, it not only will it give you the 6 best possible links to that customer, it's also going to let you know the name of the fiber coverage or polygon that they fall within. Your strand count, your color, your notes, your mode selection, and your type selection are just for your office use only. They don't display to customers. It doesn't show any of that information to anybody. It's specifically just for your office to keep track of some details about this fiber map. Once you have all of your fiber maps created, if you want to create links, it's very simple to create a link. You go to your new link. It looks the same as whenever you're editing a link. Looks exactly the same as this over here. And once you create your link, you'll have these results here. What we did is we came in here, we selected our two example tower sites. We have example site 1 and example site 2. We set the height. You can utilize one of your radio systems if you like, and all of these settings are exactly the same settings as when you're creating coverage. There's just a little bit less. We don't need an antenna pattern to create a link. And in the links, as you can see, the antenna pattern is not even an option. That's due to we automatically assume that you're going to align the antennas correctly, so no pattern file is needed. All we need is the power and the gain settings, and any loss that is in there. Once you create your link, as you can see, there's all the same kind of data as that comes from the path analysis. We do have the Google Earth flyby, which if 3D imagery is available in your area, that makes it to where you can download a KML of the point-to-point link and fly the path. There's an option in Google Earth to fly that path, and if 3D imagery is available, you'll actually see if it actually clips some type of 3D object that the clutter data doesn't know about. You can also see how high this beam is off of the ground. So what this does is tells you the distance from the terrain, not the trees, but the distance from the terrain to the center beam. So you can find out what that is. As you move the slider along, you see the little orange dot sliding around too. That allows you to see what kind of clutter data is right there in that area. And then you can zoom in and see, if that actually is a really tall building or whatever the case may be in your link. Once you create all your links, So you could create all your backbone links, your main tower to tower A, so on and so forth. Place those into a link group, and this allows you to have a group of your backbone group, or a cluster of customer links, or whatever the case may be. However you want to utilize that, create a link group out of it, and then you can view those link groups from your multi-coverage as well. Once you have all your link groups done, now it's time to create a multi-map. So you can come in, it's very, very simple to create a multi-map, and it's very fast to process. You can just leave this open. You can hit check all, add selected. It moves them over here into the right-hand side, so that way they're now in the included coverages. Or if you don't want to do that, you can take them back out of here, and you can simply just start typing, and it will start narrowing it down. If you hit the check all, it's going to check the ones that are visible and move them over there. And then you can come over here, give it a name, select whether you want the pins to be on the site or not, whether you want this to be an EUS data collection form or not. If you leave this off, the iframe form is going to show a visible map when the iframe is integrated into your website. If you turn this on, it's going to show the EUS form. We'll go ahead and leave this one off, because I already have one created that has one on. Multi-maps are very, very quick to process. All they are actually doing is just collecting the data that's already there. So they don't actually, the multi-map itself is not actually generating any of the propagation. So you want to keep that in mind whenever you're trying to do updates to your account. The reason for this is because if you add a coverage to your account, it's not going to automatically add it in there. Or if you make a change to your coverages, it's not going to automatically update that multi-map. The multi-map itself is just a collection of the data from your account. So if you do make changes to your coverages, make sure you go in and update your multi-map. And we will cover how to do that as well. So as you can see, we've got all of our stuff in our account now. So we've got our links, we got our sites, everything is in there. So we'll go ahead and open up our example map. This is our data collection map that we created before. The multi-map is a very powerful tool. It has a lot more options and a lot more things to do. So this is, a lot of times, this is where you want your sales team to be, because this is what has the ability for them to see your entire network. And it also has the test iframe option. So with the data collection turned on, you can click the test iframe, and it will pop up the EUS Data iframe. So this iframe form, this is actually what is going to be visible on your website if you choose to use the iframe version of the EUS data collection. It's very, very simple to integrate this into your website, because you can simply click the copy iframe code that's in the upper left corner. We're going to run this real quick. So that way, as you can see, here's our pin text. We can move the pin, and we can hit finish, and it uses the EUS setting options. And this is what the customer would see on your website. The nice thing about the iframe is that it will take on some of the aspects of your website. So if you want it to be a different color, the text will always stay a darker color, but you can change the color of the container that the iframe is in, and it'll change the background of it just a little bit, and it'll also inherit some of the font from your website as well. You cannot make any of the fields on this iframe required or unrequired. As I said before, you will need to use the API version if you want to do something like that. If you want to get very, very, very specific with your form. But the integration of the iframe is very simple. You hit the copy iframe button in the top, and it copies it to your clipboard. And I'll show you so you can see. I can paste it into the top of my browser, and it literally pastes the iframe code into the address bar. To update your settings is very simple as well. You hit the update settings button up here, and as you can see, we've got the coverages that are included, the ones that are not. If you want to put it in, you simply click on it, or if you want to take them out, you click on the X and remove them out, and then click update multi-map at the bottom. We have the bulk update included coverages. This feature, keep in mind, it does utilize API calls from your account. If you utilize the bulk included coverages feature, what it's going to do is it's going to take all of the coverages that are in the right hand side over here, and it's going to take it to the bulk coverage update feature. It's going to show you a thumbnail of each of the individual coverages. And these settings are the same settings that are in a single coverage, but it allows you to change just that setting. So if you just want to change the beam width filter of all 4 of these coverages, you turn just that one on and you change it to whatever you want the beam width filter of all of those coverages to be, and you hit update coverage. It's going, whenever you do that, it's going to pop this up and it's going to let you know that it's going to use API calls from your account. If you say yes, it's going to, however many coverages are in this view, it's going to take that many calls from your account and it's going to reprocess them with only the changes that you selected. So you want to make sure that you want that setting to be on all of these coverages. If we go back over to our multi-map, we will cover. So we got our address bar up here. So you can search it by a bunch of different ways. Do suggest that you use all, because then it makes it to where it gives you more options or more suggestions as you type. But it will use roughly your location and try to figure out what you're trying to find as well. So it's going to locate. Excuse me, whatever you search in here, it's going to try and locate it, or you can click the search. It's going to drop that green pin. The nice thing about the little green pin is that we can do a link path analysis. A couple different methods of doing that. We can hit the path analysis down here. We do get the same option in the multi coverage as we do in the single coverage. We can't save it as a link because this is going to give us the 6 best possible. So it isn't going to save 6 links. So that option is only available on the single coverage, but to use custom height is an option. If you leave this on coverage setting, it will use the receiving station average antenna height for each of the coverages that is returned as one of the 6 best possible. So we click that, and because this is 4 sectors, there's only 1 link possible, and it's not inside any fiber coverage, so it does not show any fiber coverages. If you're wanting it a little bit faster, you can just drop the pin and double click on the pin, and it will do exactly the same thing without having to do the height setting as well. Just a little bit faster. If you want to change your map type, we have all different kinds of map types available for you. If you want to see what the current weather according to Weather Underground is, we have the radar button here that'll show you active radar currently in your area. You can view the KMLs that you have uploaded into your account. You can view your link groups that you have created. As you can see, the link group, or the link, we only have the 1 link in our link group, but it is visible from inside your multi-map. You can click on the line and see what the statistics of that link are. And you can use your frequency coordination feature. So this is, all these coverages are 365 coverages. So as you can see, they're all set to the same channel. Set the center frequency the same, so they're all 90-degree sectors. One's pointing north, one pointing east, so it shows one big circle because they're all on the same channel. And then you have other options as well. So if you want to set the center of this map, it's very simple to do. You drop your pin, you hit set center, and it says the map point has been updated. So that way, if you refresh your map, now the center of your map and the zoom level is set to the settings of your account. There's the view EUS data. So we can hit view all EUS here. And there's our pin, the EUS form pin that we filled out. We got submitted 2 of them in here. We can click on these pins. We can view the statistics of them. We can view the details. It will open the details of this EUS submission in a new tab. So if we called this customer and they said, yes, I want to be installed, we can change this person to serviceable. And we can put some notes in there. So that way, if we go back to our map, set our center back over here. So stop sending me over there. So now if we go and we view our EUS data, you can see we have a serviceable pin. There's 4 different pin types for tower coverage by default. As you can see, there's the serviceable, new EUS, no service, and installed. That makes it to where you can assign the pins accordingly. In your EUS settings, there is the option to add additional pins. So if you want to add more pins, we do have that option, and that is under the EUS settings. So if you just go to your account, EUS settings, come in here, you can give it whatever pin type you want, and we got a bunch of different icons here. So, if you have a customer that doesn't pay his bill, you can give them a little mad face. However you want to utilize those, you can add or take them away as you want. You cannot remove or modify the 4 default pins, but if you add one, it'll automatically update it, and you change your mind, you can take it away, however many pins you want to do. So that's just an option that's available in your account as well. So what that does is, as these EUS submissions come through, it allows you to, all of them that come in from the iframe are going to come in as that new EUS. So that way, when you get in the morning, you can simply just open up your MultiMap, and you can click the view all EUS, and if you see any yellow pins, it means somebody filled your form out overnight. And the nice thing is if you have your billing system integrated as well, they probably already have an account in your billing system too. This allows you to make tower coverage help you run your WISP. It's a lot less manpower and tracking information. The really nice thing about, if you keep your data up to date, you can keep your installed customers up to date. Makes it really handy when you're doing your FCC Form 477, because you can keep your installed customers up to date. If you have them pushed into your billing system might have your subscription data. They may have it, they may not. If they don't, you can keep track of your installed customers in your tower coverage count, or you can keep track of the installs that failed. So if you have a bunch of customers out here in Robertsville, you see a bunch of red X's collecting in here, you can go into your EUS data, and with your EUS data, keeping it up to date, you can simply come in here and you can see the status of everything that has been submitted to your account, everything that all the installs that have failed. You can keep track of the notes. Makes it a very powerful tool, because with the advanced search, we can tell it, show me all my serviceable ones, and we hit submit on just show the serviceable ones. And what it's going to want to do is it's going to show the data currently on your account. If you decide to save that search, so we can hit a save search, and we can put our serviceable, save whatever the name is, or you can do a no service pin type or no service save search. That way, all of those no service customers, we save those, and you can view those from your MultiMap as well. So we're going to say, no service and just the no service pin types. We currently don't have any in there, but if we go back to our view all and we change one of these to our no service, it isn't at the time that you created the save search, it is at the time that you select to view it. So no matter how many come in or how many are deleted, it'll always just show you the ones that are current on your account, which makes it extremely powerful if you want to use our best tower feature. Didn't create one on this account. We'll make a really small one here. We'll hit tell it no service. You get specify the settings. It's basically just like creating a coverage, except it does it in reverse. It does assume that you're going to do 365-degree coverage, so it doesn't ask for beam width or antenna pattern or anything like that, but you specify basically the statistics of a tower that you would like to put up to get all those customers that you couldn't get before. We'll go back and check that here in a second, see if it's done processing here in a minute. But basically, you're able to do a lot of things with this EUS data. You can update it, you can remove it. If the customer calls in and says that they moved, you can actually just go in here. You don't have to have them submit a new one. You can just go in here and move it to wherever you want to move it to. And you can change their data as you go. It'll process very, very quickly, as you can see, and it changes it, gives you the new statistics. These links that you see over here in the left side, those are the links that you're going to see in the email as well that you receive whenever you receive those EUS submission emails as well. This is also the data that we push to your CRM if you have that integration set up. And it looks like it processed already. Let's take a look. It is just a small one, so let's see if it... No, this one did not process. It's still going. But with that, we're going to go ahead and see if we can look at, see if we got any questions going on here. Size requirement on the logo is what somebody else asked. It does have a maximum size under 50 kilobytes is what one of the guys said. I guess I might have that one wrong. I thought it was 2 meg, but they're saying it's 50 kilobytes is for the logo size. It can be a PNG, as one of the other questions asked if it can be a PNG. Yes, it can. I don't see any other questions going on. If you have any questions, go ahead and at this time there is the question box. Go ahead and shoot those over, and we can cover that as well. We had somebody said that they uploaded 102 kilobytes and it uploaded just fine. So. Okay, but if you can't think of any questions right now, we have our support line. You can contact us at support@TowerCoverage.com. You can come in here and you can hit the contact us. We have the verification code there. It makes it really easy for us to find you, and it also lets us know if the person that is contacting us is a read-only customer, input customer, if they're an admin, if they have the ability to talk about the payment details or not. So do give us that code. Makes it a lot easier for us to help you out. But our US number is here. We have a Canada number as well. You can call us. We're here in the office 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central Time, Monday through Friday. So that if you need some help, give us a call. We do have the wiki. There's a lot of information on the wiki. There is a tutorial button up here in the top. The information inside the tutorial will change as you change pages. So I mean, if you click on as you can see, you click on coverage count, it'll kind of highlight it. There's a lot of information inside that and on the wiki. Looks like we have a question here. API request for the customer's link, get estimated quality and such. On the API, yes, it does. It returns the same. If you do the API submission, it literally acts the exact same as an iframe. So like if you use the API version, it's going to act identically the same. It's going to give the email with the 6 best possible results. It's going to push to the billing system. It literally acts identically the same. The only difference is you can completely customize it. You can also utilize the pre-qual API when it comes to doing the APIs as well. So like with the pre-qual API, you can submit to it first, and that will give you a almost instantaneous response. Usually it's about 3 to 4 seconds. So you can sit there and submit their address location to the pre-qual, get a yes or no as to whether they fall in your coverage area first, and then submit it to the EUS submission. So that way you can answer the customer right there on your website rather than just showing them an image of your coverage. So they think that maybe I can get service. You can actually give them a yes or a no as to whether they're in your service area or not. So the APIs are very, very powerful. There is an API getting started section in the Tower Coverage Wiki. There's all kinds of different APIs. We have the EUS submission API, the link path API, coverages. You can do the pre-qualification API, all kinds of different APIs available for your Tower Coverage account. Yep, and as we covered the wiki, there is a link to the wiki down here. On the wiki, there's all kinds of information that's in there. If you just go to all pages, there's all kinds of stuff in here. There's the API getting started right here. which has a link as well to the API overview that has all the different APIs. All right, and with that, if nobody else has any questions, like I said, if you do think of something later, shoot us an email, support@TowerCoverage.com. Give us a call, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday, Central Time. First thing we do when we get here in the morning is check those emails as well. So if you need help, let us know. We're here to help you. We want you to power your business with tower coverage, and make it work. If it doesn't seem right, let us know, so that way we can try to help you and get you on the right path. But thanks everybody for attending. At this time, go ahead and end the webinar. Let us know if you need any help, and thanks for coming.